Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I got a lot of great feedback on my Weeble Lab Zhiyun gimbal, the way I got it set up with the handle here, and how I use it with my X-T3. So I wanted to go through a couple of the comments that was shared in my YouTube video, and let's run through a couple questions people had. What's the name of the handle that you purchased on Amazon? This one is made by Small Rig. It is a wooden handle. Normally, I think the crane is designed for you to take the tripod mount and plug it in here for undersling mode. There is a Small Rig handle that's made specifically to be almost like a permanent mount. So this will always be here, and it's great for undersling mode. Do the buttons work? So the answer is no. A lot of these record control buttons are designed for a cable that plugs into your camera. That is compatible with a lot of Sony cameras, but not for the Fuji X-T3. So unfortunately, the record button, some of the functionality for wireless transmission doesn't work. What Arca Swiss plate are you using? Does it sit flush on the gimbal? So general questions about the Arca Swiss plate. The built-in default plate that comes with the Weeble Lab is a little bit small, and it doesn't have any mounting points. And so I went out and I bought a Small Rig plate that looks like this. It sits in like this, it clips in, and it mounts like that. So I intentionally got it. It's a little heavy duty. It has a couple mounting points, like I said in the previous video, for you to put counterweights in case you're carrying heavier rigs. I like this because I can mount a couple other accessories, probably a little hook, and so I ended up using this Small Rig, and that's permanently mounted to my camera. Someone asked, I wanted to use the gimbal attached to the tripod and commanding it remotely via the app to control. So yes, I think I may have answered incorrectly in that video. Once you have it sitting like this on whatever tripod or whatever tool you're using, you can use via wireless the app and then control the gimbal. So that does work pretty well. Mic connection to the camera. So when I have the camera mounted here on the gimbal, I typically will have to put the mic on top and then balance that whole kind of craziness. I tried it attaching a mic separately on the side here, but the problem is as you're moving around, you want that mic cables getting in the way. So two options. I've tried both. I got this side handle here as another Small Rig accessory, and so I won't mount it, but I'll just show you the general concept. Quarter 20 screws to here, so now you have a second handle, and this part right here will give you an option to hook in. See if I can find a mic. Let's say this is the Rode Video Mic Pro. So we'll plug here as a separate mic. Then you got to run a cable. So what I've done, I found works best for me, is put the camera and I'll put a smaller mic on top, and that's the best solution I came up with so far. So now that we have shared this rig, I wanted to share another alternative option that I have rigged up for my Fuji X-T3 as an alternative to using a gimbal. And I wanted to move into more handheld video, get that more natural look that's not so robotic, but I need to also stabilize it in a way. So over there I got my glide cam. Again, just here is my latest rig setup. It's a little overkill, but let's take a look at it, and we will kind of go through some of the parts and components. At the core is my Fuji X-T3. That X-T3 has my 16 to 55 2.8 lens. It's an unstabilized lens, but it's 2.8 across the entire range. I've been shooting a little bit more with the 180 rule, which means now I need an ND filter. So I splurged a little bit, got the Polar Pro Peter McKinnon ND filter. So it goes from 0 to 5 stops, and I love, this has just been awesome. Finding that the 5 stops sometimes is not enough light blocking when I'm shooting out in a lot of sun, but for most of my run and gun it has been good enough. And so then we have, I'm not using the battery grip because I don't like that extra kind of length, so I kept my Fuji X-T3 and I got the Small Rig cage for it. On top of that Small Rig cage, I got an Atomos Ninja 5, and so it's an external recorder, gives me about 2 hours of battery life if I'm shooting 4K. And on that is, and I'm using this piece to then slide and connect the Atomos Ninja 5 recorder. Now, what I love about this recorder and why I got it is because it records 4K 60 and it outputs 10-bit 422 coming from an APS-C crop sensor. So that is both sides. On this side I have mounted a wooden handle and another wooden handle on this side. So now I can hold it like this, which means my stability point is now further apart. I'm going to get much more stable shots handheld like this versus holding the camera small like this. And then to power the camera, since the Fuji X-T3 comes with USB-C as a power source, I have an Anker power bank, and it's compatible with the, it's actually recommended and supported by Fuji. With this battery bank here, I can get up to like 4 hours of recording on the Fuji body. The Sony battery on the Ninja 5 will give me 2 hours, so I think at max I'm getting about 2 hours of record time with this rig setup. Then you need an HDMI cable, and HDMI cable then plugs into the recorder. That is the setup. This is fairly new. This battery bank holder sits right here. For me, like, I like it because it adds quite a bit of heft. I think the next step eventually will be moving to like a V-mount battery and powering all with one battery source. For now, just because my systems are fairly modular and I like to be able to move things around. With this setup, it was harder to get one of these Rode mics to mount here. I could probably mount it on top of the recorder, or I gotta find another mounting point. I'll probably potentially put it on top of the battery. Now, one lesson I learned was when this recorder is on, the fan is fairly noisy. So if you got a mic right here, it's gonna pick up that sound. So definitely not gonna work. And so I'm gonna do a shout out to the Everything Man. And one of his tips that I learned from him was to take my Rode Wireless Go. So it's a wireless mic, and I got that plugged into my Rode Video Mic Pro. This will eventually get mounted on a tripod. I don't have the setup for it right now, but I'm gonna put that in a tripod, and when I'm on site, get this as close to the action, and then I'm free and I can wirelessly shoot and still capture sound. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna flip this entire system on. So first I'll turn on the Rode power button here, and it's powered on. I'm going to turn it on the camera. So a lot of things to power on. The battery bank is now powering my camera, so I will turn that on and hit the switch on the Ninja 5. You'll see it power on. 1, 2, 3. So about 3 seconds or so. And we are live and recording. Another solution I haven't figured out yet is right now I have to either push the record button buried down here, or I'm pushing on a screen. And I think as I'm getting away from recording on the camera and just on the recorder, there's a record trigger, that cable I can plug in here, and I'll eventually modify this battery grip so I can record and strip it from there. Let's do a record from this so you guys can see the quality. That's my Fuji X-T3 recording, and this is now switched over. Okay, this is the recording setup. It is an absolute disaster and mess up here. But now I'm recording with my Fuji X-T3 on the camera rig. You can see all my equipment sitting up there. That is my charging station, because these devices all individually need to be charged, and that is a pain in the absolutely butt. Let's take a look up here, my kind of rig setup right now. I have a Rode NTG4 in a blimp, and a lot of housework that's not completed, so ignore that. And over here, still some of my legacy equipment, my Fuji X-T3 and an Atomos Ninja something. It's Ninja Flame. It's a 7-inch recorder. It doesn't go to 4K 60, so that's why I upgraded to the Ninja 5. Pretty awesome. So what do you think? I'm going to turn this off. Okay, and that's the full setup. Today I shared my handheld rig compared to gimbal rig. Both these work, different instances, different cases, different use case. I've been trying to use this a little bit more because I like the external recorder. I might mount the external recorder on my gimbal at one point, but I definitely do like the handheld look a little bit more. Now, I recently used this for a live streaming event and a corporate event. Did the external recorders of redundancy to get some clean footage versus the live stream that was happening. So everything worked out pretty well. I like the setup in the rig. Not sure what else I'm going to do next to it, but other than that remote trigger. This is going to be heavy, so I'm probably going to be building a little bit of bicep muscles. but definitely something I'll practice in a while. I really appreciate the comments you guys are leaving, so please keep doing that. Ask questions. There are not very many Fuji video shooters out there, so definitely I want to see more Fuji shooters. I want to see your rigs. Show me what your rig looks like and give me some tips. What else can I do to this setup right here? So hit like, subscribe. I definitely could use a couple more subscribers. I'll see you in the next one.